All right. Welcome back to the Lily Grace Lifestyle Podcast. Today I have Lisa Sands on, and she is absolutely amazing. I reached out to her because her bio said Boston and New Hampshire, and I was like, girl after my own heart. And then it said workaholic, and I was like, sold. So she is on today, and I'm so excited to have you. So thank you for coming on.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for asking.
Absolutely. So one thing I always ask my guests is what defines your lifestyle?
What defines my lifestyle? I can't say free form because I'm so type A. But I would say unstructured structure, if that makes any sense. And the reason I say that is because I have three teenage boys. I work. I like to work out. I cook. I clean. I kind of do everything. I'm a wife. I'm all over the place, and I am a fan of structure. But my life is extremely unstructured because of my three teenage boys.
That is a really good way to put it because I'm very type A myself. And I love that you work, you are a wife, you're a mom, you literally do everything. And we're going to get into all of that. So I love that. And can you give us a little bit of your background and introduction for people who don't know you?
Or talk about unstructured. So I come from a family of CPAs. I had full intention of I went to UMass Amherst, and I went to the Eisenberg School. I was an accounting major. I was like, I'm going to be a CPA. I'm going to get a master's like my father in taxation. So halfway through, I worked my butt off to get into that Eisenberg School because if you know anything about it, it's not easy.
Mhm.
I got in and I realized I hated accounting. So I had to remarket myself to go into something else. And that's something else I didn't know what it was. So I ended up becoming president of the undergraduate business club. I invited every company that came to the Eisenberg School on campus for college fair days. And I ended up going into sales. I was in healthcare sales for a while after that. And then I had a brief stint at a office products company, which I hated, but I did meet my husband out of it.
Nice.
And then I ended up at monster.com. And now I'm home with my kids.
That's incredible. And you started out in sales. I'm starting out now in sales. So I think that's really interesting. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey and like how did you even expect any of that? What did you learn from each stint?
So I don't know, one thing is kind of have to expect the unexpected.
Hmm.
I didn't know what I was going to go into. I didn't know what I expected. I knew all I wanted in life was a red sports car. Like literally that's all I knew. And
Me. Oh my
all
gosh. We're the same person.
Yeah, I think we are. The more we talk about this, the more we are.
It's
But
crazy.
that's all I wanted. And I was on the end game. I wanted to make money. I didn't understand the value of helping people, even though I saw the value of that as I pursued my career in sales.
Yeah.
But that's a conversation for later. Um, I just wanted to make money. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to get out of college. I wanted to make money. I wanted to get settled. I never had expectations of getting married. I never had expectations of having children. I just wanted to travel and sell.
We're the same person. I think the podcast is over because no, just kidding. But that is so funny. Yeah, no, literally, we have to, and we live close by now. So, anyway, but that is so funny. Not say because people know who listen to me. I love finances and I love the idea of personal finances and saving for retire, like all that stuff, that financial freedom stuff. But then I've slowly realized like I love people too, and that's the aspect that's actually gonna like help you and like make you money in the end. Because that's my end goal too, the red sports car, the money, and all that. But it's like not just that. I want to help people along the way.
It's really not. Yeah. And I agree. And I was at the same point that you were, I mean, I keep saying this, I have three teenage boys, I'm of
Yeah.
age and thank goodness for hair dye and lots of concealer because it's a lot of what I have. But you do, as you go through life, you have like these life lessons that kind of, get you on the right track. And then you fall off the track and you realize, oh, I fell off because of this. And, it's
Yeah.
because I was too focused on the money or I was too focused
Mm.
on.
Yeah, because I'm the same way, like maybe as you were when you were younger. I'm just like all about career first. I do have a boyfriend, but I was like in my head, I honestly never pictured like me and someone else, me and a family. Like I want it maybe someday, but it's just always been career, me, what's next? What's the next thing that I can succeed at? So yeah, oh my gosh, we're the same person. Um Let's talk about your bio for a second on Instagram. You'll plug yourself at the end, but I said you're from Boston. I said you're from New Hampshire. We covered that we're both workaholics. And can you talk to us about each part of your bio? First of all, being a mom. Can you talk to us about that?
It is, and it sounds so cliche, but it's so true. Being a mom is the toughest job I've ever done. Because when I was in sales, when I was in all forms of sales, I could control how much I worked.
Yeah.
I could control, how hard I worked. I could control when I wanted to shut my mind off. I could go out and watch a movie or have a glass of wine. When you are with your children, who at one point they were newborn 2 and 4, they're all 2 years apart, and they're all very different children. You're not only thinking about your relationship with your husband, who you want to maintain, who my husband and I, thank God he's my best friend, and
Love that.
yeah, he really is. We're geeks together, but and then you're worried about your children, and developmentally, is everything okay? Intellectually, is everything okay? Physically, are they okay? And we've had our bumps and bruises, and then on top of that, you have extended families, and you have parents and sisters and brothers, and in-laws, and so much to balance.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And that was one of the questions. How do you balance your family life with your passions? Because you talk about being a science geek and you love coffee and all of this great stuff. So how do you balance that family life with all of your passions? Because sometimes thinking about my future, I worry, like, that's why I maybe don't want kids, because I worry about that. Like, am I going to lose myself?
Well, honestly, you do for a bit. I mean, if you ask me, so I had hip dysplasia, and if you know anything about hip dysplasia, it's you develop arthritic hips at a young age if you're active. And I personally was in a body cast when I was a baby. One of my children was in a body cast while I had other infants around, and one was in a harness, and one also had some other things, intellectual stuff go on. So it kind of sets you off your beaten track for a while. But I think that's when you really have to hone in, like there's a saying, you're only as happy as your least happy child. So I was really able, thank God I was able to be home, and I feel very lucky to be with my kids and help them through tough times, and be there for my husband when he was going through things. And I forgot about me. I forgot about me. I know we're going to kind of talk about like pivoting times and everything, but I forgot who I was. So, in terms of balance, I didn't have it for a long time. And it's a piece that I said to my husband after I had my firstborn, I really miss that piece of me and that sense of self that I had, because I lost it. And I lost it intentionally because I knew I wanted my children and they were going to come first. And I always had 3 in my mind, and lucky enough, I was blessed to have 3. And then I slowly, as the kids become older, and, I invested in a sitter, a couple of days a week, I got myself back on track. I started working with nonprofits again. I started doing things that really filled my soul, maybe not quite in the direction that I wanted it to, but, you wake up, you have to do this and that, and you just learn how to regiment yourself so much, because what fuels your fire is going to make you feel comfortable and at ease in your own skin. And then you can go help someone else feel comfortable in their own skin and make them even a better person. So it's all about, just making sure, like, creating a clear path for you. And I think it's okay to put some of that stuff on pause for a while. As long as you're aware, you might have to put it on pause for a while.
Yeah. That's a really good point. And I love how you're talking about the regiment, because you say you like structure just like me. So can you talk to us about your morning routine or your daily routine nowadays?
Yeah, I'm a little crazy. I work out with this incredible trainer who does these live Zoom classes and garage workouts, a couple of times away from both of us. And I try to sign up for the 8:30 class every day. I wake up at 7 every day. I have my coffee. I'm not a morning person. You know how much I talk about my coffee.
Yep.
I have my coffee. I sit down. I relax. I watch my show, and then I can get ready to work out. If I have time to shower, great. If I don't, it's fine too. And then I usually sit on my computer for a couple of hours. I'll work. If my kids are around, I'll make them breakfast, or I'll sit with them for a while. And then, Summer's a little different because I have one of my guys home working up here in New Hampshire and the other two are off at camp. So during the day, I try to hang with my husband a little bit. I try to hang with my middle guy a little bit. And at the end of the day, I fill it in with more work. I scroll through Instagram a lot. I try to get a lot of inspiration because I'm a big positive person. And then it's already dinner time. I mean, it's you blink, I'm sober. So in terms of structure and what my day looks like, every day is a little different. You just have to know you have to set aside, okay, 2 hours to work, an hour to talk to people, an hour to reach out to your customers, an hour to calling a friend is so important. Keeping that open line of with your friends is so important, because it really just kind of puts you in a good mindset and, makes you feel a part of something. So there's no like structure, but in my mind, there's like this very loose structure that I know I have certain things during the day I want to accomplish. And I always try to get 10,000 steps a day. And my crazy thing.
No, that's great. Cause I'm the same exact way. I've recently been trying to wake up at 6 a.m. and then go to the gym for like 6:30. I know it's tough, but it's good because I just walk down the hill because at my place, there's a gym down there. But yeah, I'm the same way. I work out in the morning and then I get in all the nitty gritty stuff in the morning just to get it over with. And then I have my list for the day. And even though every day doesn't look the same, similar to you, I know what I have to do. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. And you're mentioning work a lot. Are you allowed to tell us a little bit of what you do for work?
So I work for a non-toxic hair and skin company and wellness company now, but it's a little different. So why I say it's different is because I don't talk about anything that I don't believe in. I really feel strongly about that. I'm a big practice what I preach type of girl. So what I do now kind of has to go back to what I did. And what I did back in 2014 was have a hip replacement. And when I had my hip replacement, I was going through a lot emotionally because I am physically always on the move. And I actually was balding on the sides of my hair. And I gained 30 pounds and I did not feel like myself. And I was really upset. And I couldn't walk. I had chronic pain for years and it was awful because I had these 3 kids. So fast forward, so I was balding and I was really upset. And I tried all these different things that the dermatologist recommended to me. And because I'm a researchaholic, I ended up finding this this company that was backed by a dermatologist who specializes in hair loss and an ophthalmologist, a whole med team. And I ended up really repping the product because I liked the discount. And then people started coming up to me saying, wait, you were bald here. Like what happened? And so I started really doing more research and realized I really like this product and I really like the company because it's focused on gratitude and family and giving back, which is a huge component of what my husband and I believe in. And here I am now. I can work the hours that I want to work because my priority is my family. And I get to meet the most amazing people. I have customers all over. I have a customer in France and Spain and Canada and the US. I think we're in 6 different countries right now and it's over $1 billion company. And it's only about 7 years old.
Wow, that's incredible. That's so exciting. I think that's amazing because I feel like a lot of people I talk to take their own personal experiences and want to help other people. So they make that into their career, which I think is amazing. And the way you found balance between your family and your work, I think that's like perfect. I love it.
Right. And there are days where I can't work, or there are days where, my oldest is playing a baseball game. And if you watch, it's like watching grass grow. So like while he's not up, I'm sitting there and I'm texting customers and emailing customers, and it falls in line with my Instagram, which I love.
Yeah, no, your Instagram's great. Like you guys will have to check it out at the end. But you keep mentioning your boys and I just can tell you're such a good mom. And what is it like having 3 teenage boys?
I think it's a lot easier than having 3 teenage girls. It's great. It's when they're young, it's hard because it's very physical. And there's one, I remember we never take, my oldest is like, you never took us to Disney World. He's almost 18 now. I know, because I didn't want to lose you. Like I didn't want to be that family who lost their child.
Oh my God.
because we would walk into a room and one would go one way, one would go the other, and one would like dive headfirst into a punch bowl. So, and I'm not even, um, so it was really, really challenging, not to mention, intellectually, they're all very different children. So they all had very different needs. You want to make sure that you're fulfilling all of their needs, all while letting them fail to learn how to pick themselves up. So it's like this really interesting balance of how to be supportive and a loving parent, but making sure they understand the the beauty of succeeding at something after they failed at something.
Yeah. And I think that's a good lesson for not even parents to learn, just for us to learn too as adults. And I think it's really powerful that you just said that, because you're right. It's all part of our lives are just balance. It's just all about balance.
It really is. I know. There's definitely a common theme.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and if there was one message that you would want your boys to take into the real world with them, would that message be, do you think?
Uh, I always say this to my kids, because they're quick to judge, as are most kids, is
Mm-hmm.
just be kind. Everyone has a story, and you don't know what people's stories are. You don't know if somebody's having a bad day, if, you know, their mother's sick or
Right.
the dog just, or you don't know if, their boyfriend just broke up with them, or just be kind because you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know. And I speak from experience. We all have our life stories.
Yeah.
Kindness matters, and just be kind.
Yeah, that's a really good point. My mom always told me that too when I was growing up, just to be patient with people because you never know what's happening behind closed doors, like you said. So that's a really good point too. And I just feel like you're a natural leader. I can just tell, like you're a natural leader and role model, especially on Instagram. I can just tell you radiate positivity. Um, how have you become that? Have you had mentors in your life that have really led you to where you are?
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have?
All day, all night.
I won't go on and on. Um, yeah, I mean, I have not had it the worst. I should put that out there. I grew up in a
Mhm.
loving family, and I have a loving family now. And but growing up, I I had a lot of things go on in my life that really. I started out in a special class for shy kids, believe it or not, which is so funny because I look back and there were four of us. There was this star soccer goalie in college who, graduated with me. There's this other guy who's an incredible leader in the nonprofit world right now. And there was myself and there was someone else. Like we all have kind of like broken out of that shell.
Yeah.
I was a super shy kid. I really did not speak that much. I ended up being a competitive baton twirler.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and I traveled all over. I went to Russia and Denmark, which then I said, maybe I'll try the Miss America circuit. Maybe I'll just like check this out. And because there was scholarship money involved and I could have used it at the time. And
Mhm.
so I, I had a coach tell me I wasn't that material. I was not Miss America material. So of course I had to do it. And I was a finalist a couple of years in a row, which was great.
Wow.
And I had handed my transcripts and everything. And it was a really big deal for me. And I know people say, oh, it's a beauty pageant, this, that, whatever. It was, but for me, the transcript part was a really big deal because I also have a language-based learning disability. So I have a really hard time reading information and retaining it. I'm a very visual learner.
Mm.
Um, but in high school, I was getting the highest grade in my class in math and the lowest grade in my class in English. And, I realized it was because of like the analytical work being involved versus like theoretical work and what you
Right.
see on the board. Just I ended up having myself tested. And anyway, it was a big deal for me because I had to turn in transcripts that I worked so hard for at
Wow.
college and had good grades. Um, so then fast forward, then I ended up going into sales and I didn't know how to stop working. Talk about workaholics.
Hmm.
Um, and I ended up, I remember working Friday nights till midnight. I didn't have much of a life the first couple of years because I wanted to make my mark. I always felt like I had to make my mark,
Me
you know.
too.
Yeah.
I'm the same
Totally.
way.
Yeah, it's totally normal. And it's such a blessing to feel like that because
Hmm.
instilled that in you, and you probably carried that forward. And I ended up working so hard. I did really well for myself. And um, then fast forward again to 2011, I my mother was sickly, my husband's father was sickly. I had some family stuff go on, and I was lower than low. I mean, I was lower than low. So I was always a very positive person. And then I just hit
Mhm.
this point where I was crying in bed every night, for 6 months, and I couldn't get my act together. And it was hard. I couldn't, there were things in my life that I couldn't, were beyond my control, whereas I could always
Mhm.
control it before. So I was always this really positive person. Um, and I didn't know what to do. So I remember sitting on the bed one night, and I cannot remember feeling so low. And I remember sitting on the bed one night, and I bought this gratitude journal, and every day it like had something written about, being grateful for this, being grateful for your feet, being grateful for the buttons on your shirt. It was like all this goofy stuff. And I was looking at it, I'm like, I can't get it together. And David looked at me, and he sat me down, and he grabbed my hand, and he said, Lisa, I don't want you to wake up when you're 70 years old and realize your life passed you by. And it was like this light bulb went off in my head. And I'm like, damn, he's right. Like, I hate when my husband's right, but he really is right. Um, and it hit me, and it hit me hard. And it still took a while to get myself back on track. But I'm like, I'm done being negative. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
There's stuff that is way beyond my control that I cannot control, but there's stuff I can control.
Mhm.
And that stuff I can control, I'm really going to control, and I'm really going to make the most of where I am in life. And that's really what I did. And that was the start. I mean, I had other moments too. But I don't, you, if you practice what you preach, and you put good out there, and you put your positive vibes out there, you'll find it's like electricity, and other
Yeah.
people start, coming to you, and, you know, you just come again. It's like a big magnet, and it's really kind of a cool experience. But I do believe you kind of have to have those dips, and you have to feel what it's like to feel a little empty. And I don't wish it on anyone, but you
Mhm.
have to feel the lows to feel the highs, and understand and respect those highs, and realize where you want to be mentally to get to.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I totally agree with all that you're saying, because right now I'm actually staring at my gratitude journal, and I had a rough couple of months at the earlier during COVID, and like I was like, this is so unlike me. I was very negative, like what you were saying about yourself, and the gratitude journal is actually what got me out of that funk, I guess you could call it. So I feel like that's so important. And like what you said about feeling those lows, it's important, because then when you feel those highs, it's even more significant. So
It is.
yeah.
And it's just recognizing it and understanding,
Mhm.
okay, well, this is what I can control. This is what I can do. This is what I
Yeah.
can be grateful for. And I think what is kind of like a thorn in my side sometimes is, we all have like our issues, and people will say, well, that's not a big deal. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It is a big deal in like the scope of your little world. And that's
Mhm.
okay. Like, it's okay to have that a big deal in your world. Like, if it really annoys you that like your socks don't match your shoes that day, like, that's okay. It's like, but you can control that, and you can go back and change out your socks. But, in your world, if that is bothering you, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just like acknowledge it and move on.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And like what you were saying about energy, like being super positive, attracting that energy towards yourself. Like I think that is so true, because like I've noticed the strangest things. Like if I'm thinking all these negative thoughts, bad things start happening, and I'm like, what is wrong with my life right now? But then to the opposite point, like once I get in a great mindset, things like what I was telling you about before happen, and like this job is happening and graduating, and it's just like it's amazing what life can bring to you if you're positive too.
It makes a huge difference. It makes
Yeah.
a huge difference. And I always give the example, and I say this to my kids too, is, when I was president of this club on campus at UMass,
Mm.
my GPA was not good. And it wasn't like I didn't work. It was just, I was taking some really challenging classes. I mean, now you'd be like, oh, whatever, you had great grades, but I was taking some really challenging classes, but I had so many companies offer me opportunities
Yep.
because of where my mindset was and what a go-getter
Yeah.
I was. And I think that makes, not that I think, I know that makes all the difference.
Yes.
Yeah. And
100%.
that they can't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, totally. I can say the same thing. Like, I just feel like it's all about attitude and how you present yourself. And especially since I'm going into sales, like we'll have to chat more later about that. But it's just like that's how you do well, I feel like, in life, is just how you present yourself and what connections you make throughout your life. So I love that. Have you stayed true to yourself all throughout this journey?
Um, I think I definitely lost myself.
Hmm.
So I don't think I really stayed true to myself at a certain point in my life. I think when my kids were young, I thought I had to conform to a certain way and be a certain type of parent.
Hmm.
Um, and I really lost myself for a while. And when, my husband held my hand on my bed, that's, I think, when I know that I regained myself and I got
Mm.
myself on track because, um, if you're not true to yourself and you're not happy, I just don't think, I mean, you have to do things that you love. I mean, I don't like watching football. I'm not going to watch football. It doesn't make me happy. I'm not being true to myself. And I'm going to be miserable sitting on the couch with, my husband. And like, unless I have my phone on my head, then I like can be on Instagram scrolling. Um, so, it's, you have to do what you love. You have to, if you don't, you're going to be stuck, and then if you're not true to yourself, you're going to find the wrong mate. If you're looking for a mate, you're going to,
Right.
you know, a subset of friends who doesn't agree with anything that you're doing and willing to be your biggest cheerleaders.
Mhm.
It's, you have to do what you love and follow your own journey and understand that if you don't follow your own journey, you're going to fall into a bottomless pit of being miserable.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's so true because and it's interesting because when you were telling your story about your husband holding your hand on the bed, that literally gave me chills. Like I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so powerful." But you said you guys are best friends, and I think that's so important. Do you mind like sharing a little bit about you guys' relationship? And it sounds like he's been like such an important role in your life.
He is. We're like the dweeby couple. We truly I know, I'm just putting it out there, but I didn't meet him till uh, in the scope of things, like, back then, a little later. So we met when we were around 30.
Hmm.
He was in a long relationship previously. I was in a long relationship previously, but I knew at the time I wasn't marrying the person I was with.
Mm.
Um, and I was calling on his company.
Oh,
I was in sales, and the
nice.
receptionist saw that he was kind of on the outs with his person. I was on the outs with my person, and she's the one who actually fixed us up.
That's so funny.
Really cool. Yeah, and on the first date, I told him we sat down at Sansi, which I'm sure you know Sansi. We sat down, and I said to him, "Listen," I said, "I think you're a really nice guy, but if you don't work out, I'm taking a break from dating for a while because I just can't deal with this crap anymore. Like, I just
Yeah.
going out being like, 'What's your favorite color?' Or, it just awful. And we just hit it off. We were out till 2 in the morning, which is way past my bedtime, and we just we wanted the same thing out of life. Like, we had the same vision. And I
Hmm.
think that's really, really important. You have to have the same vision, and you also have to know how to, I hate to say fight, but you have to know how to have disagreements
Yeah.
with your partner. You have to understand that, there are times where you have to let go a little bit, and they're going to have to let go a little bit, and you're going to have to like play to tie and not play to win or lose.
Mm.
And you also understand that that person also has a story that made them a certain way, and you have a story that made you a certain way. So there might be pitfalls, there might be ups and downs, but you have to understand that you're going to have to play the tie. You're not always going to win. And I think that's something that always made us stronger. I mean, I think at one time he was taking one of the kids, he was holding one of the kids and going upstairs, and the kid was screaming. I was downstairs dealing with something you don't want to hear about downstairs with another kid. And he looked back at me and he goes, no one said it was going to be easy. And I'm like, uh-huh. You just have to have like these moments of like coming together and like
Yeah.
powwows, and that makes all the difference.
Yeah. No, I think that's so powerful what you said there because we've kind of literally covered all of parts of your life. And I think that's what makes lifestyle so amazing is that it's not only work, it's not only school, it's not only family, it's literally everything intertwined, everything. You're the same person everywhere. And it's like it affects everything else. So I think it's so cool to hear all different facets of your life.
And you have to be real and you have to be authentic.
Mm.
Because, I mean, if you look at my Instagram feed, it's like the pictures are not perfect. I've had some professional ones done, but there are times like before I got on the phone with you, I'm like, oh, I did my hair. I'm going to take a selfie. I would so much rather just keep it real and keep it, I have days that are like, ugh, like I want to put the covers like over my head. I'm not always a positive person, but I want to be that person. Like I
Mhm.
want to emulate what I want my children to emulate.
Yeah. No, that's a really important thing. And I think, like you said, having your best friend by your side, your husband, like that's incredible as well. And I think that really helps people succeed in their work life as well. So that's amazing.
You need a cheerleader. You need a cheerleader in your corner. You need somebody who
Yeah.
understands why you are a certain way, and to be able to take a step back so you can keep moving forward.
Yeah, that's a really important point too. Oh my gosh, literally all of this is so perfect. Um, but yeah, so we talked about so many aspects of your journey, and I just think like your lifestyle is literally probably me in the future. We're so similar. It's so funny because even when you were saying you're a researcher, like that is me. I will like dig to the bottom of the internet to find my answers. So that's
Yeah,
so funny.
it's so true. It's so true. I know. Just don't Google like a wart because then it'll be
Oh my
like you
God.
have some that can't be cured.
Yeah, no, literally. Like when it comes to medical stuff, it gets scary. But yeah. But I guess like you're all about like the vegan, like healthy skincare, non-toxic skincare. Does that pertain to like the rest of your life when it comes to like food and medicine and things like that?
Mhm. I mean, somewhat. I love East meets West medicine. I mean, I went to get cupping the other day, and
Oh, cool.
but yeah, I'm obsessed with it. I used to get acupuncture, but
Wow.
I also see a chiropractor, and
Yeah.
but in terms of vegan non-toxic, so when I was telling you about that period in 2011. My mom was diagnosed with Parkinson's. My father has some
Mm,
illnesses. I started really thinking about what was going on in my kids' bodies and in their bodies. And I'm not a vegan, by the way.
yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I love bacon and I love, pork chops and I can't give it up. But what you put on your body, so what you put on your face seeps into your skin in 26 seconds. What you put on your scalp, 10% of that seeps into your body, seeps
Hmm.
into your bloodstream. So I just became more conscious about what goes on your body. Even so, like what goes in your body, I'm a pretty healthy person. And again, I eat certain foods or whatever, and I indulge in Twizzlers. But, for the most part, it's like that 80-20 rule.
Yes.
So, I like things that are cruelty free. I like products that are cruelty free. I like products that are non-toxic. I like all the products that I use and that I represent. All of them, if you know anything about European standards versus American
Yeah.
standards, European standards are like way up here. You turn
Mhm.
over an ingredient, you turn over a bottle of shampoo in Europe, and you read all the ingredients. They're all documented on the back of a bottle. We don't have that here in America. The company I work for, we document all the ingredients on the back so you can see and you can make sure you're not going to have an allergic reaction to everything, but you know exactly what you're putting on your body, which ultimately some of that's going to go in your body.
Mhm.
So that's really where my whole journey began. And I loved our company started with naturally based hair care. And what I loved about it is it wasn't, and like I said, I tried everything that the dermatologist recommended to me to grow back my bald spots, the hair in my bald spots, made my hair feel like a chemical waste plant. Like we're up in, New Hampshire, like Seabrook Power Plant. Like I
Yeah.
felt like growing like a chemical waste. And I hated that feeling so much. And it didn't feel right. And it didn't, and again, the more I dove, the more I found out how much it seeps into your bloodstream. And that really made me nervous.
Mm.
So my girlfriend was repping the same line that I rep. And she said, why don't you try this? And what I loved about it is I actually, for the first time after trying all these products that I spent oodles of money on, I can't even tell you how
Yeah.
much, my hair actually felt clean. I didn't notice a difference after 2 days, who's going to, but after 6 months I did,
Mhm.
because everything was coming off. All the crap was coming off of my hair. It was all
Hmm.
being lifted off. All the toxins were being lifted off. There were no parabens or sulfates. Um, so many more. It's gluten free. It's just, there are so many benefits to it. And that's what I love about it. I love the clean living piece of it, and that's why I love backing it. And by the way, I love that it's made in America.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, it's really a big thing. And I am a sucker for, everything made in America. So I love that. And I love the company is growing, and I love that it's based on gratitude. And I love that everything they do is sourced from the earth.
Yeah.
Like their care line, they sourced from plants in Australia. And, there's so many, there are just so many smart things they did that, um, that benefit us instead of hurting us
Mm.
and, going into our bloodstream.
Yeah, I think all of that's so important because ever since I was young, I've just been really careful about what I've put in my body and like even what I ate. Like I'm weird. I only eat chicken and turkey. I don't know why specifically, but like I'm lactose intolerant, things like that. But when it comes to products too, especially recently, since kind of the trends have been going more natural, I think it's important for people to figure out where they're buying from and where their products are coming from too. So that's really cool. Um,
Yeah.
and you've sold a few different things in your life. You sold medical machines and now you're selling skincare. I guess for a future sales lady like myself, what is like one tip you can give to someone starting out in sales that kind of goes across all industries?
This is going to sound so strange. Don't talk. So the best thing you can do is ask open-ended questions and let people talk to you. People
Yeah.
love to talk. They want their 15 seconds, on their soapbox. And you learn so much from people the more that you listen to them.
Yes.
You learn about what their pain points are. You learn about their frustrations. You learn about what makes them happy. You learn about what drives them. And then you can figure out how what you're doing is going to benefit them.
Right.
So, and to me, that's a very powerful thing. I mean, I will say I've had a lot of customers open up to me about a lot of different things.
Oh yeah.
But I have a lot of customers who are cancer survivors, who love our clean products, and listening to their stories and listening to what they've gone through and the emotional. I was balding in, my temples and a couple of other spots. I wasn't bald. I mean, and these women, and they're primarily women, and actually some have had COVID too,
Oh, wow.
which one of the side effects is losing hair. Listening to their stories and how they have overcome such an emotional experience and a physical experience in their bodies, and the
Mhm.
changes that they've gone through and their hair's gone through and their skin has gone through, and it's pretty amazing. So listen, if you're going into sales, if you're going to represent something, you need to represent that, heart, soul, everything. You have to be passionate about it, but you have to learn how to listen. It's more powerful than speaking.
Yeah. No, that's a really important tip that I think I'm going to take for the rest of my life because even with this podcast, I've learned that it's important to ask the right questions, but not only to just ask questions, but to listen to what people have to say because
Yeah.
I don't think people would want to listen to me all the time. I'm pretty great. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, like, I'm kidding. But no, people would not listen to just me. Like, honestly, like the best episodes I have are with these amazing guests. And I love just getting to know people and learning about their stories, like your story today, and how similar we are, which is crazy.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love,
So
yeah.
thank you so much for all of that. Oh my goodness. But what is one of the main mantras that you live by?
I think, well, I always have a couple of different sayings, but I do love the play to tie. I think that's a big one for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but my other big one too is it's harder to do the right thing.
Yes.
It's harder in life to get out of bed and work out. It's harder in life to keep fighting for what you believe in because truly life is about attrition. It's
Mm,
about who's willing to fight the longest and hardest. That's it. Um, it's harder to eat well. It's harder to, make time for things that are important to you. It's harder to follow your passion,
mm-hmm.
versus the easier path and get more money, around the corner. Even though you might be unhappy in the long run, so it's harder to do the right thing. It
Yeah.
goes, it's harder to learn how to fight with your husband and come out on the other side stronger. It's harder to sit down with them and really have a conversation. There's so many aspects that works in so many situations.
That really resonates with me because I feel like as all my peers are graduating with me. We're all going on these crazy paths, but I always feel like, I love this saying, when everyone turns right, turn left. And I feel like I'm doing the exact opposite of what everyone else is doing, but it's what I love. And it's for my end goal, that red car, that red sports car. So I just think that like really resonates with me, and probably a lot of people listening, because even though it's harder in the beginning, it will be better off in the end, I think.
It will. It will. And you know what? You're with your passion and your heart and putting all the work into what you're doing now. This is the perfect time to do it.
Yeah.
And then you pick up your life lessons and you're doing it. And I think it's so great actually to do a podcast like what you're doing, because you're learning about so many different types of people
Yeah.
and what drives them, what makes them tick. It's
Mhm.
it's a pretty cool experience, I would think.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's funny to see similar trends throughout all the podcasts, because I've interviewed a number of different people, but a lot of the people have the same message, like don't stop, keep going, work, but don't burn out. Things like that that are really powerful to someone like me who is a workaholic, and probably needs to hear these things, because sometimes I feel like I'm a 40-year-old man slash woman and I just feel like I'm just like so ahead sometimes, and I'm like, wow, I just really need to chill. So yeah, no, that's great. I
Right.
love it. But
If it makes you feel better, I used to lie about my age when I was 22 and I came out of college. I used to lie about my age and say I was 31 because I always wanted to be taken more seriously because I was always
yeah,
an older soul.
same.
So
But the thing
okay.
is that I look like I'm 16, like people think I'm 16. So it's like I don't know if that will work for me. So funny. But yeah, so what is one last piece of advice that you can leave with my audience when it comes to their life journeys, our life journeys, just life in general?
It's really what I tell my kids all the time when they're going through a tough day, and that most things in life are blips. So, you're going to have a moment and it's going to be a blip and it's going to feel, awful, or like you are done and you're face down on the bed and you never want to get out of your room. And that's going to be a blip.
Mhm.
That's going to pass. You have to get up and keep moving forward. Then, when you're in a good moment, that could be a blip too. And just appreciate the moment, be in the moment, enjoy that moment, and understand that that blip's going to be gone. So, whatever you're in that moment, appreciate that moment, enjoy it, and then move on. And then you're going to experience another blip. So, be in your blip.
I think we need to hashtag that or put it on a t-shirt. I love it. That is
Enjoy
so
your blip.
great. Yeah, literally. No, honestly, I'm going to use that hashtag from now on. But I love that. Literally, this podcast has been so impactful, and I think came just at the right time for me too. Like I got so much out of it, and we're so similar. I love it. And finally, can you please share your Instagram and how people can find you on the internet?
So the best way is I'm an Instagram addict. It's at Shoe Habit 5. I was told many a times to change it, but I can't because I have a fetish for shoes. It's a problem. I have
I was
a lot of
wondering
shoes.
why it was that.
It's a lot, and 5 is for the 5 members of my family. But
Okay.
so it's at Shoe Habit 5, Lisa Sands on Instagram.
Okay, perfect. So please go check her out. Literally, this lady radiates positivity, and I hope you got something out of this show. So thank you for coming on.
This was so much fun. I am so excited for you and all your endeavors, and thanks for having me.
Thank you.